Hi, welcome to the Online Jewelry Academy. I'm Professor John R. and I'm your instructor. In this video, I'm going to explain how to use many of the techniques that I've shown you in previous videos to create beautiful hollow beads. Now, over the years, I've trained many jewelers, thousands of jewelers, and most of them came because they wanted to learn the art of jewelry making to enhance the jewelry that they were already making. In other words, they were stringing beads and making beautiful necklaces and things like that through assembly work, but they were dissatisfied with the types of beads that they were buying at the bead store because they didn't really speak to them. So what I want to do is show you how you can use the techniques that we've taught you to make wonderful beads that can tell your personal story and be an artistic expression to show who is really inside your soul. All right. So looking at these on the desk, we've got three different types. These are the easiest to make. These are cylindrical beads, and these are made based on a ring shape. Now the ring shape, we show you in a video how to make a ring. Well, you can make these to any size because if you know the size of a ring that you're making, you can vary the length of the piece of metal that you use to make the outer ring or the cylinder. Now you'll notice they all have holes in them, and in these I put the holes through the top, but you could put the hole anyway. It could hang diagonally or sideways. It's up to you. You can be artistic even with that simple form. Now I've got some more geometric triangular shapes, and again these are augmented with holes so that they're completely wearable, but these have a little bit more structure to them. Finally, over here, I've got these really goofy, fun kidney shapes. Now, these are wonderful, and these are the types of beads that I'm really talking about. You could make the outline of a silhouette of your pet, and by bending the metal that becomes the wall of the bead, you could actually make a shape to represent your dog or cat. Let's show you how these are actually made. Now, the first thing is you have to pick a structure. So, like I said, the cylindrical ones start out with rings. Now, the tricky thing about making something this tall, even this tall, is that if you're using a tapered ring mandrel, you want to make both ends the same size in terms of the opening of the diameter of the opening. Well, the way to do that is to turn it around on your tapered mandrel, or you could enlist the help of a step mandrel where it's perfectly straight and the sides are perfectly parallel to one another. Or you could do what I did and bend a shape like this one, which is a little odd or interesting, that maybe helps to tell your story. Now, I don't know if this is a sock or a musical note. It's just some crazy shape that I thought up. But it could make a cool bead. Now, before I move on, I want to talk a little bit about the structure of the beads and a couple of safety issues. Now, I made these two shapes from adapt form. In other words, one side of a sphere. You'll notice I'm not showing you spherical beads because those are so boring. But in this case, I cut that hemisphere in half and shifted the two halves to create this interesting shape. Likewise, on this one, I cut a zigzag in it and I shifted it so one's higher than the other. Now, if I turn them both over, you'll notice that both of these structures have two interior chambers. Now that means that when I solder this shape shut, I either need to have a hole on either side to relieve the interior pressure that builds up, or I need to create a channel between the two chambers with one hole to vent. Now let's talk about the venting for a second. It's kind of like when you drink too much beer. Maybe you get bloated and you need to burp or you need to flatulate. Same thing with making the beads. They need to relieve that pressure. Otherwise, they're going to explode and either you get hurt or whoever's standing around gets hurt. And you don't want that to happen. So remember to always use the holes. Okay, so these could be beads too, but I just wanted to use them as an example for structure. Now, let me show you something interesting. The first step that we're going to take is we're going to deck these shapes. Now, you can see that I pretty much have the same type of cylinders, and they've both been given a nice deck. And this is related to the decking of a bezel. We have a video on that, and you'll see how when you form your bezel around your stone, you need to give it a seat or a backing. Same thing, you're going to sweat solder this on. Now when you do it, apply the solder on the interior this exact same way and heat from below so that you can heat everything up at once, and then direct the heat on the outside if you need to pull the solder out to the sides. Before I move on, I just want to show you one other thing. Here's an interesting low round bead shape, and instead of the wall of the bead being the area of interest, the deck is. I chased a small scarab shape onto this piece of metal, and now when that hangs as part of a necklace, you'll see a scarab contained within a round outline. Okay, let's move on. Now after you get the initial deck applied to the base, then what you want to do is add the bottom deck. Now you'll notice what I did was I cut away material so that I could see the lower deck. Now when you apply the lower deck, you're not going to be able to put the solder on the inside. You will put it on the outside, but heat it the exact same way. Start from below, and if you need to direct the flame in order to fill a gap with solder, you can come out to the side and pull the solder around with the solder pick. Now many people have problems keeping this together, and what I would suggest is try doing something like this. With a couple of lengths of binding wire, you can twist the two lengths together to make a cross and then wrap it around and tie it at the top to hold everything in place while you're soldering. That's it. It's easy. I hope you have fun making expressive hollow beads. Check out our other videos at theonlinejewelryacademy.com or here on our YouTube channel. And if you click on the button in the lower right now, you can subscribe and never miss one of our videos. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you want to support the production of videos, you can support us through fan funding, and we have a video on that too. Thanks for watching.